Welcome everyone to Third Channel Gaming's coverage of E3. I'm Dan, and I'm joined by
Third Channel Mandy, aka Mandy.
Over there. We talked about this before. Which way am I facing? So we are going to jump right into the E3 coverage. We are going to start with Ubisoft.
Ooh.
One of the big things for me, anyway, was Assassin's Creed Valhalla's updates. The Siege of Paris is coming out this summer and this fall, which I find super interesting because it was debuted in Assassin's Creed Origins, was their Discovery Tour. The Discovery Tour is essentially a guided history lesson.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. With Assassin's Creed Origins, it was through ancient Egypt, through Odyssey, it was ancient Greece, and now it's going to be, I believe, I haven't played Valhalla yet, but it's going to be England during the time of the Vikings.
Oh, the Anglo-Saxons.
Yep.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. So it's like guided tours of like just what happened during that time.
I never played any of the Assassin's Creed, but I've seen them and I'm fairly interested in them. I've never had anything that has like grabbed me, but something like this seems a little more accessible to get me introduced into the franchise in and of itself, but two, to actually have it be a guided history lesson and something that I am personally interested in. That definitely sounds like something that I would buy a game to learn to see. I think that's something that's pretty cool.
And the Discovery Tours tend to be like outside the game itself, and they are free.
Oh.
Yeah, like people have cited them on reports.
No way.
They have cited. They have used it in their bibliographies of cited works.
Assassin's Creed, Ubisoft.
Yeah.
That would be a definite download. Why not?
And Assassin's Creed Valhalla is available now. As I said, the Siege of Paris comes out this summer, and the Discovery Tour comes out this fall.
Sweet. Right in time for back to school.
Yeah. Between killing people, learn about history.
Why not?
Which is much of history.
A lot of history.
And then from there, we have Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope. Eagerly awaited sequel to Mario Rabbids.
I'm not like super into it, but I know, like, I think that's one of the big things is like my nephew is hugely into them, and I think that's kind of something that we might forget as adult gamers who kind of grew up in this whole like late 80s and then the 90s games and console wars and all of that, is that like there is still another generation of gamers, and that not every game necessarily has to be made for 30-year-olds to be.
How dare you?
I know.
Everything should be catered to me and what I'm interested in.
The 30-something white males.
Ooh.
the male fantasy.
I'll stop now.
It's not. It's a pretty cool thing to see that they are still taking the other age groups into consideration, one, and then being able to develop and then showcase something as a AAA title, essentially, at E3 that is for a younger audience. I think that's really clever and just overall positive of Ubisoft to do something like that.
Yeah. And everything I saw from the first Mario Rabbids looked amazing. It's like that. I love turn-based combat. It's very similar to like Final Fantasy Tactics, where you move your characters across the map, and like everyone's got like special abilities. Luigi was apparently super OP. as he was an Overwatch sniper. Yeah, he was like, he would take people out. You would just mount him up on the highest point and watch him take everyone out.
Wow.
Which is why I think during the trailer they showed him with a bow and arrow. I think they nerfed Luigi.
All of us. All of us.
Then Ubisoft closed with Avatar Frontiers of Pandora in 2022.
I mean, there are still the whole group of people who are so diehard into Avatar. I mean, it did technically reclaim the top spot in the box office because they re-released it for a weekend so that it could beat Endgame.
And I remember seeing it in the theaters when it came out, and I remember it being like, wow, this is really good. It, like, visually was amazing. And then I thought about it, and it's live action Fern Gully.
I never even saw it.
With some pretty poor writing.
I never saw it. I didn't even go on the ride at Disney. I'm like, they're blue.
Yeah, they're blue, they're tall. They live in a tree. It's Fern Gully minus Robin Williams and Tim Curry.
I mean, Tim Curry.
Yeah. And the songs. Oh, and Christian Slater, I believe, is in it as well.
In Fern Gully?
Yeah.
I saw it. That was one of those movies that, like, traumatized me as a child.
The Evil Tree. Which was voiced by Tim Curry.
I think either the Evil Tree or the saws, the cutters
that were cutting down the tree.
That were cutting down the trees.
Yeah. We're getting into a tangent on Fern Gully now.
I know. I didn't. I was like, okay.
This is about video games. No, we're talking about Fern. This is a Fern Gully centric channel.
Fern Gully traumatized me as a child, and I've never watched it since. And thusly have never watched
Avatar.
Yeah.
Avatar, who the sole purpose of them on this planet is to get a special mineral that it's really hard to get. And I feel like this was a placeholder in the script. It's called unobtainium. I feel like that was a placeholder that they never got around to fixing.
I mean, have you seen the later parts of the periodic table?
True.
Everything's like Stockholmium.
Oddly enough, found in Georgia.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on before we get into another tangent. Xbox Bethesda's showcase. To me, Xbox and Bethesda won E3.
I said Nintendo, but Nintendo was just on sheer volume, and again, they might have sort of that nostalgia part of it, because it's all their characters. But my second was Xbox, and I don't really love Microsoft, so this has to say something. I don't have an Xbox and never have, but a lot of the games were pretty hype. There's a lot that they put out that it was like, okay, we're coming for Sony for what you did to us at the later half of 2020 with our consoles.
Well, even then, they're still hard. Everything's still hard to get from both
I've never
Xbox
even seen
and
an
PlayStation.
Xbox, but I'm also not looking for one. I have a PlayStation.
Last Xbox I owned was a 360. It was a great system, but PS4 beat out the Xbox One for me, and PS5 beat out Series X. But Xbox brought it with Bethesda because they need to get some of that $7.3 billion back.
Yeah, they are. They're rolling hard with their games, not Sony is rolling hard with their console and hoping that Sony is developing for a lot. That's not to say that they're not. But I think Xbox made a very conscious decision to pour more into their games than necessarily the console.
Yeah. Well, and Xbox has that cross-platform with PC.
That is true. And like, I don't have an Xbox, but I have a PC that I can play games on, and I do play games on. So it's like, do I really need an Xbox?
Yeah. And like, I would not be surprised if the Series X is Xbox's last console, because I've heard rumor about them going to completely streaming gaming with Game Pass. Like, if you got a smart TV and you have a controller, you're good to go.
So I feel like this has been a conversation that has been around for at least one, if not two consoles. The thought of getting rid of physical games, and now the thought of getting rid of pay per game, if you want to talk about it in that way. And I think they probably will put out one more console, but I don't think it's going to look or function like a traditional console. I think it's going to almost be a console PC hybrid, that will be a definite bridge to PC, and you can hook it up to your TV, and it's not going to cost you $1,500 to get. It'll be a $600 gaming PC essentially. But going into that, like, Game Pass, and you said that Game Pass was now going to be doing their AAA titles. Microsoft was putting their AAA titles day one on Game Pass.
If you made a drinking game out of Xbox Bethesda saying day one Game Pass, you would have been in the bag halfway through.
And that right there, like, is something that would turn me into an Xbox fan. Because
by the end of this showcase, I was like, it might not be a bad idea to get an Xbox and get Game Pass.
Like, pretty much any game you want. Like, I don't feel like I'd be wasting a console, because like right now there aren't enough games that I play that would be an Xbox exclusive, whereas like with everything on Game Pass, okay, I can get this console and try that game, but don't really try that game. Oh, I love this game. Maybe it has some DLCs for $15-20. I'll dump $20 into a game if I really like it with a DLC. You being able to do that sort of try everything is going to get people more into trying games, because right now we have there's a culture of sort of sticking in your lane, because games are expensive. They are a payday treat, and sometimes it's, you have to wait till a couple of paydays to be able to be like, okay, I'm in a position where I can buy that game now. Consoles are expensive, so if I'm going to buy a console, I want to make sure that I'm going to like 10-15 games on it. And if I don't, then you're looking at this thing and you're like, I'm so glad I bought this $600 system to play one game
and to watch Netflix
as opposed to Game Pass, where it's like, okay, I have the $600 system, and maybe I bought Halo Infinite because I've heard so much about Halo, but then, hey, this game's on Game Pass, why not? This game's on Game Pass, why not? Oh, I really like this game. What other games do we have? Like, it helps you build that collection and try things out.
And costing you like $15 a month or whatever, how much ever Game Pass is a month.
Whatever it is, like, definitely worth it.
It'd be worth it at least the first month trying whatever game you want. And then
At least. I know one of my friends, when like Outriders came out, it was day one, and he was like, I have Game Pass, let's play it. And it was like, this is really cool, but I don't know if this is something I'd finish. maybe just a mechanic wasn't really working or something like that, and you don't feel guilty that you've spent $60 on this game and now you're like, well, I'm gonna burn through this just to spite it.
Yeah, just because I have it and I'm gonna play it.
Right.
I have plenty of games like that.
Oh, I mean, thankfully, again, on a slight tangent, like the PlayStation Plus, I download the game, and I downloaded a game that I was like super excited for, and I was like, this looks great. And then I played it and died within the first 5 minutes, and I was like, I don't like this. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I'm going. I thought I was doing the right thing, and an enemy one-shotted me, like, out of nowhere. Like, if I would have bought that game because it was hyped
day one, like, and then you got like ultimate and deluxe editions, like upwards of like $100 now.
Seriously. And I think now, especially after what happened with some developers over the last year, people are a lot more skeptical. Yeah. People are a lot more skeptical to just straight up pre-order games.
Yeah.
They're waiting because they could come out with unplayable bugs. And so again, if it's something's on Game Pass and you download it and it's like, well, it was okay, but my horse is on a roof.
Yeah.
Or I don't have any pants on. Something like
well, with Game Pass, you don't even download, you stream.
You stream, yeah.
Like so you're not even taking up, console memory.
Yes.
Like, I have a 5 terabyte hard drive attached to my PS5, and it's almost full.
I have 2 terabytes. I have a 2 terabyte hard drive.
I have the main hard drive. Most of it's PS4 games because I brought it over from my PS4.
Yeah.
But the main hard drive is almost full from PS5 games, and the 5-6 terabyte hard drive is almost full from PS4 games.
Right. And so to not have to worry about hard drive space, to not have to worry about if you're actually going to like this game or not, did I waste $100? It encourages people to try more games. Same thing happened when Final Fantasy VII Remake went on PlayStation Plus for free, and people were like, this game is a year old and it's free now. Every Reddit thread in the subreddit for that is, I've never played any Final Fantasy, but this was free and I heard it was good, and now I'm hooked. What do I do next? What should I play next? Where am I going next? Like, this is incredible. I need more. I'm gonna buy the full game. Like, it can only be positive.
Yeah.
By allowing that. So I think this is really, really smart by Xbox to do that. It's definitely something that's going to make me, as a non-Xbox, non-Microsoft person, pay attention and say, maybe in 2-3 years it might be worth buying an Xbox and seeing, there's games I want to play. It can only be a driver for the market. And
when consoles become more accessible, it's going to be a selling point to a lot of people who are like between, do I want the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox Series X?
Yeah.
But let's get to the games. Starfield was the big one. It was what they started with. It's the new original IP from Bethesda, and it's being called Skyrim in space. So it's like that's a high bar to clear.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about
that. Its release date isn't till November 11th of 2022, but it will. A year and a half. It will be, and that could easily change.
Yeah, that could get pushed.
Yeah, it's going to be an Xbox exclusive, like a lot of Bethesda games, like new Bethesda titles coming out, and it is day one Game Pass. That's for that big of a title that has this much hype around it. That's big.
Yeah. And especially if it lives up to that Skyrim in space, it always like there's always a little bit of hesitancy within me when they describe one game as another game in space.
Yeah.
Like,
well, that also became a trope for a long time with popular things. It's like it's Jason in space.
Well, like Red Dead, it's Grand Theft Auto
in the Old West.
In the Old West.
And it really, though Red Dead really is not Grand Theft Auto in the Old West. In a way it is, because it's like a similar engine, but the story is much more serious, a lot less satirical. Both fun games for different reasons. But I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
The next big one to me was Back 4 Blood. I played the first 2 Left 4 Dead games. They were a lot of fun. And they're a lot of fun, good with better with other people.
I think I played one of them with you once. And it was fun. It was like, this is like just mindless.
Yeah, zombie horror
and fun, and like
each mission was set like a B movie.
Yeah, like, hey, why not?
Yeah,
not everything needs to be this
epic story,
super epic story. I mean, I am one for epic stories in games, but at the same time, like, there's something to be said coming home from work, long day, and just being like, I hate people.
I just want to shoot a bunch of zombies. I just want to sit on the couch and get a win. Yeah.
Like, and know I can get a win.
And especially a game like this that's going to be so much more fun with friends. So like that's a big one that's coming out. I haven't really seen much of the footage outside of what they showed at the showcase. It comes out October of this year.
Oh, well, I mean October, Halloween.
Yeah. It'll be not just Xbox, it'll also be PlayStation. But Sony didn't have a presence at E3 this year, so they didn't get a chance to talk about it.
Yeah.
Becoming one with the world. After that, a big one, and if you're a fan of Outside Extra or Outside Xbox and watched this, Sea of Thieves: A Pirate's Life. Sea of Thieves is a big game. My friend Jody loves it, and it having a big Pirates of the Caribbean crossover seems like a no-brainer and an open shot on goal.
I think their channel Mike was playing Sea of Thieves the other night.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, like, there's definitely that fan base there, and like,
it's a big open world.
Pirates.
And it's a big open world MMO where you get to be a pirate.
I like pirates.
I like
I'll be a pirate. Like, let's go.
I don't want to be a pirate.
No, I want to be a pirate. I got a pirate outfit. Let's go.
Only if I can be Pirate Steve from Dodgeball.
Obviously. That came out 18 years ago today.
Oh. No wonder my back hurt all day.
I know.
But it's Alan Tudyk, who has not aged.
ESPN 8 the Ocho.
Cotton.
It's bold strategy, Cotton.
See if it pays
See
off
how
for
it
him.
plays out.
Okay, before we get on another movie tangent, Hades is coming to Xbox to Game Pass.
It is. Hades is a very big title for the Switch.
Oh yeah,
I know.
It was in Game of the Year
Yeah.
nominations.
It was.
With a lot of big titles that came out last year.
It's beautifully done, and it's a really interesting story, so deservedly so. So it's pretty exciting that it's coming to, not to say that the Switch isn't a proper console, but it's a different kind of level and of console gaming.
And just in like with what it came out with like Last of Us Part 2, Ghost of Tsushima, Sekiro, these epic games with massive stories, and then Hades comes out and
Right.
it's like 2D anime style art, just like, and I haven't gotten a chance to play it, but everyone that has played it loves it.
Everyone who's played it absolutely adores it. People
Yeah,
are going crazy for it. Like,
not heard one unkind word about it.
for essentially an indie title, like that's a home run. And so that's going to be very, very big on Xbox.
And that is also going to be on Game Pass.
That right there would be tempting to me, to be honest.
Oh, speaking of a game that kind of came out of left field last year, that was a few years old actually. Among Us is coming to consoles.
I have thoughts about this. So Among Us can be like, Among Us was a hit last year because of the circumstances of last year.
Oh yeah, because it came out in
It came out
2018.
like in 2018 and didn't do anything. And then they were like going to cancel it, and then it started doing okay, so they were going to do Among Us 2, and then they canceled that because they just started developing the original one more because everybody was playing it.
Yeah, and they're adding to it even now.
It's, to me, it's a little too late, because I think if you really wanted to play it, especially because it was free on your phone, you would have already played it.
More than likely.
So I don't see anybody who's been waiting for it to move to a console. You just might be able to finish some of your tasks a little easier. But then again, it might be harder because that one with the wires is hard enough on a touchscreen.
And it's going to have 15-person lobbies now. So you're going to be able to have more people, probably more
people.
Yeah,
it's already hard enough to wrangle with 10 sometimes. Yeah. It could go better because, again, you never know. Like, years ago, Minecraft had come out. Minecraft was everywhere. Minecraft was on stuff, and then they started actually putting it on the consoles, and it blew up to what Minecraft is now.
Yeah.
So you never know. And again, it's that market of kids.
Yeah, it's definitely marketed towards, the junior high school
Yeah, my
market.
niece and nephew play it on their iPads for school all the time. They bring them over to my mom's house and they're like, "Hey man, you want to play Among Us?" Yes, I'll play Among Us with you.
You killed me.
And they'll laugh about it. They'll get so evil about it. Little kids, man.
We played New Year's with your nephew, and we killed Third Channel Mike every time because he told us to. He said Dad was sus, and we believed him every time.
Every time.
Especially when I was the betrayer.
The imposter?
Yeah. That was the word I was looking for. It's been a while since I played.
It could be big, but I do feel like everybody who's wanted to play it has already played it.
Yeah. There'll definitely be a big bump with it when it comes out, just because, oh, that's right, this is back. Because I feel like it's dipped a bit, especially since the airship map came out.
I haven't even played the airship map.
Neither have I, but I have seen it, and it is really interesting because you get the option of spawning wherever on the map. There's moving parts to the map. The map changes a little bit every time because there's a corridor where there's different doors that are shut each time.
I think it could be interesting, and a good move that they are bringing it to console to support further development.
Oh yeah, like a better, not necessarily a better UI, but a more advanced UI. Being able to change maps from inside the lobby instead of having to completely back out. So it'll be interesting. I'll probably end up playing it, especially if it's something like on a Game Pass or PlayStation Plus.
Yeah, if it's something I could done.
If it's
I wouldn't.
cheap.
It'd have to be $5. Like, that's what I paid on Steam for it. So if it's any more than that, I'm not worth it. To me.
Which I wouldn't be. I would expect its cost to be somewhere between 5 and 10 at most.
think
With 10
seems too much. But,
yeah,
Um,
but that's all I got on Among Us.
it'll be one to watch, but
Yeah. You'll end up seeing a
I'm
lot of
excited.
streamers playing it again,
yeah, probably.
especially early on, and
Wonder if Ice Cube will play it again.
that'd be awesome.
No, it was T-Pain. It was
T-Pain.
T-Pain. T-Pain was playing it with streamers.
He did his tasks.
Yeah, that's all he wanted to do, man. All he wanted to do was finish his stupid task, and they killed him every time.
Oh, we gotta get AOC and T-Pain to start playing
AOC
Among
and
Us together.
T-Pain playing Among Us, and cancel student loan debt.
That's the future we all want.
That's the future I want.
Moving on,
Moving on.
to Microsoft Flight Simulator.
This is the flight simulators are always sleeper hits, and I say sleeper lightly in that people are always very excited and very hyped for them, but it's not like you're going to see it as game of the year.
Yeah,
It's not like you're going to see people stream it.
It'll get awards, but it won't be like best story. Best
it'll
sound.
be like
like
technical awards.
Yeah, it's real pretty.
It's real pretty, and you feel and look like you're flying a plane.
And the fact that now, like with online, you can see other people flying planes too.
Yeah.
Like you got like 40 planes flying over Disney, like all at the same time.
Everybody's
doing
gonna fly
strafing
over
runs.
Disney. And so, like, I mean, I knew people who played it and were super excited. I know that, like, I think they've used it to actually train pilots. Like, it's a big deal.
Yeah, the grades they give on your landings are the exact same grades they give pilots on their landings.
People build cockpits in their game rooms. Like, you can get dials and stuff.
They take this seriously.
Right. So it's like, hey, if you can update that game and keep that going, like, people are going to eat it up.
Yeah. And in
So
the
good for
fall,
them.
it's going to have Top Gun expansion.
Oh, Jesus. We don't need fighter pilots.
to coincide with Top Gun Maverick.
Of course.
I don't think you're going to be firing missiles. I just think it's going to be another plane to fly around.
It's going to be barrel rolls all day. Everybody's going to be listening to Danger Zone.
Oh, without a doubt. It's going to be on a loop.
Without a doubt.
It's going to be Kenny Loggins all day, every day.
Kenny Loggins. There's going to be so many DMCA strikes.
It's going to be just... It's going to be royalty-free versions of Danger Zone.
Mm-hmm.
And that comes out July 27th.
So that's actually a month and a half away.
Yeah.
So, not shabby.
And what they closed with, you would think I would be talking about Redfall. No, what they closed with was the Xbox mini fridge that comes out this holiday.
I just... when I think mini fridge, and this is something that came out like 2 years ago and I thought was ridiculous then, is that you can buy mini fridges for your bathroom to keep your skincare products in. And so when I saw that, I was like, oh, you could put your Monster and your Doritos and your skincare products in the Xbox mini fridge. Or can you put your Xbox Series X One bone in there to keep it cool?
Yeah, because sometimes it gets hot when you're going to town in Among Us on your Xbox Series X. You need to keep that cool.
You need to put it in the fridge to keep it cool.
Or how many people are going to try putting their discs into their mini fridge?
You know what it's going to be though? And it's like we're making fun of it, but it is perfect marketing for your college
Yeah,
kid. Your college Halo dorm parties, you have the kid who has the Xbox, who has the mini fridge next to the Xbox, or his monster and his gamer fuel, and they will eat it up.
Without a doubt.
Without a doubt, that is stupid, furiously genius marketing.
Yeah.
That upsets me.
And it's going to be like $200 more than a normal mini fridge.
A normal mini fridge.
That probably will hold more.
It might glow. Or that might be a $50 DLC.
If it didn't glow, I'd be kind of upset.
Can it?
Because then it's just a black mini fridge.
Is it magnetic though? Can you put magnets on it?
This is something we'll have to find out holiday of 2021.
We'll report on that later.
Yeah.
You can put fridges on your Xbox, or magnets on your Xbox fridge.
Yeah, comment on this video if you want to follow up on the Xbox mini fridge.
And then donate so that we can afford to buy the mini
Exactly.
fridge.
The Xbox mini fridge. That'll probably be like $900.
It'll be $900. And
it'll be the choice between the Xbox Series X and the Xbox mini fridge.
Yeah. I hate it. I hate it on so many levels, but I can't be mad with them for it.
Because it looks like a mini fridge too.
You know what their core audience needs? And by needs, I use needs.
Yeah, because Sony couldn't put out a PS5 mini fridge.
I would probably buy a PS5, to be honest.
Yeah. But the Series X is a perfect cube. The PS5 is an obelisk.
A sculpture.
Yeah, it is modern art.
It is massive. It is. I was buying a new TV stand and I had to look up dimensions to make sure it would fit in there.
Yeah. I had to move a lot of stuff when my PS5 came. I'm one of the lucky few.
Yeah.
Okay, and then from there, my disappointment of E3. SQUARE-ENIX's panel.
SQUARE-ENIX. And we say that, and I think to preface
we
are massive SQUARE-ENIX fans at Third Channel Gaming. Like, massive.
Here's how big of a fan I am. I saw Final Fantasy Spirits Within in theaters.
I didn't, but I actually looked up the wiki article about it the other day.
And I saw it in the theater. I had seen it, and I still bought it on DVD.
We tried.
Yeah, I am a Square fanboy. Square is what made me a gamer.
Yeah.
Like, it's in my blood.
And here we are in 2021 releasing mobile games.
Yeah, half of their whole thing was mobile games. But we will start at the beginning though, with essentially their flagship of the panel, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, which comes out this October.
So I'm in like two camps with this. Watching the trailer, watching all the stuff, the gameplay of it looks like what they did right with Final Fantasy VII Remake with the turn-based, the action.
Yeah.
And all of that. And being able, if I can like switch my characters and use guns and melee, like all of that. If I can switch during live fights characters, that style of fighting for me is really cool and exciting. And I like the actual Guardians characters.
Yeah. And
however,
these characters are more closely related to the comics than the movies.
Yes.
Like,
however, I can't fully put my trust in a Square Enix Marvel game because of the murder that they did to my boy with the Avengers. And I understand that they're not going to look like their real
from what
life
it looks
movie
like,
counterparts.
Guardians is not going to be a games as a service game. It is going to be a
Right.
standalone game.
I want to give it the benefit of the doubt. I'm not gonna buy it first day.
Yeah.
I'm probably going, if I do get it, it'll probably be something that I ask for Christmas and be like, hey, this game, as I've watched other people play it, as I've read reviews, as I've seen things, okay, this is something that you can get me for Christmas, I'll play it. But I'm hesitant.
Yeah. To me, the combat looked almost like a cross between Final Fantasy VII Remake and in a little bit like Marvel Ultimate Alliance.
Okay.
With like the combining of powers and abilities and things.
Okay.
It'd be interesting to see if there's multiplayer. Where like I could take Star-Lord, you could take Groot
Gamora,
or Drax or Rocket or anyone. That would be interesting to see. They didn't. With it coming out in October, I would have thought they would have said more outside of just talking about the story and how your decisions as Peter Quill will have impact, or if different parts of the story you control different Guardians and how your decisions will affect the story, which is
always cool.
Yeah, which is big to me right now because Mass Effect Legendary Edition recently came out, and I played the crap out of that.
Yeah.
Platinumed all 3 in less than a month because that was all I played.
Right.
So it's always interesting when games, like your decisions, even in a small way, matter. Like even if it's just a dialogue choice that happens later on in the game, from you throwing Rocket across a ravine.
Can we then move this as a very good segue into the ultimate Your Decisions Matter game series? Life is Strange.
Life is Strange, yeah.
Yeah.
You can go to Life is Strange.
Yeah.
Beautiful game, beautiful stories. I've only played a little bit of the first one, and I do actually want to play through them because I've heard nothing but good things about the stories.
Life is Strange. Same thing. Like everything I've heard is absolutely incredible, and they're beautifully done. And my whole thing is that with games like that, like Detroit Become Human was a big one, where I was like, yes, I want this, I want to play this game, and I just didn't really feel like spending the $70 on it, but they had a demo, so I downloaded the demo, which is basically the first mission in the game, and my anxiety level was off the charts because I was like, your decisions matter. And I ended up not buying Detroit Become Human because I was like, I don't know if I could handle an entire game of that.
And with Life is Strange, your decisions matter.
It's the same thing, and your decisions matter.
Not only do your decisions matter, you can go back and change them in the moment.
Right. And so like seeing everything about it and knowing a bit about the storyline and knowing that it is much more story-based, more reality-based in that way is something that pop a Xanax and play Life is Strange. Yeah. Like I'll deal with my anxiety to play these games because they elevate video games into art,
into a new storytelling medium,
into stories, into things that people didn't anticipate video games could ever become, and people who are naysayers of the art of video games, I point them to these games and say, this is art. And because it is.
It makes me think of games like Gone Home and What Remains of Edith Finch, of these games that are just so simple, but the stories that they tell are so amazing and they hit you so hard.
For me, that's a Journey.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, we need to play this game because it's so simplistic, but the way that these are designed and the stories that are told
And a lot of times the music that's in them. I remember when we were playing Journey, tearing up at the end. Like,
I know.
Being like, oh, okay, don't cry. Don't cry in front of Mike and Mandy.
The first time I played it, Journey was the first game I played on the PlayStation 4 when I got it. And I finished it in a night because it's short.
Yeah.
I bawled my eyes out. And I was like, what is going on? What is going on? And the fact that Life is Strange is in that same realm, to be able that they have a focus, a core of a fantastic story to tell, and then wrap that into beautiful artwork, and it just so happens to be a video game.
Yeah.
Is something that I am rabid about. And it's like, Square, give me more. Keep doing this, because we have a lot to cover and we have a lot of developers, but there aren't many developers putting those elements in their forefront like Square is.
Yeah, into an original story told in an original way.
Right.
Like, without, action sequences left and right.
Right.
And the fact that, like, these games are not that old, and they're putting out a remastered collection of, I believe it's one Before the Storm and 2. Because 2 just came out a couple years ago.
2 just came out. But, like, I'll buy it.
Yeah.
I'll buy that first week.
Yeah, the remastered collection comes out the 30th of September, and then True Colors, which is telling it in a different way, because Life is Strange 1 had time control powers.
Right.
I'm not sure what Life is Strange 2 had, but Life is Strange True Colors is essentially, it's empathy is the big power with it. Where the main character can see what people are feeling.
Yeah. That's gonna be a heavy one.
Oh yeah, and her story is finding out what happened to her brother who died. So there's gonna be a lot going on with that, and it looks beautiful, and it looks like it's gonna be an amazing story told, and that comes out September 10th.
Yeah, I'll put money aside for that.
I do want to go back to my biggest letdown, outside of the fact that they didn't do anything with 14, especially with Endwalker coming out in November.
Mm-hmm.
And they showed nothing for Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2, which really all they had to do was even just test footage.
Even test footage.
Just to be like, hey, we are working on this. Same thing with 16.
16 I feel like, so I'm kind of torn, because we have the Final Fantasy fan festivals.
Yeah.
And we have,
and they did actually announce that they weren't going to talk about 14, but at the same time, you have an expansion coming out this year. You have an amazing free trial.
You think they would maybe do a little more?
At least to show the trailer.
Right. I was skeptical. I'm not surprised, but I am still disappointed that they didn't do anything for 7 Remake 2.
Yeah.
Because I would have thought with them hyping up and pushing out Intergrade and Intermission the week before, I would have thought that they would have been like, hey, we just put these out, and here is some test footage. Here is
just a taste of what's to come.
Here's a cutscene. And I get that, like, maybe because the people Intergrade and Intermission aren't out for PS4 players, it's only PlayStation 5. That it's a lot of fans are pretty upset about that decision, and so have not looked up the cutscenes. And so it was probably safer on Square's part to not show those things because it's massive spoilers. It blows the entire game wide open.
Yeah.
And so I understand why they may not have shown that, but at the same time, you could show a small battle mechanic.
You could have shown the gold saucer.
You could have shown the gold saucer, like
Yeah.
right there. You have a gold saucer in 14 that is incredible. Stick Cloud in it.
Yeah, like just fan art or just concept art of the gold
Concept
saucer.
art.
They announced 7 Remake nearly 10 years before it actually came out
Right.
at an E3. You could have shown just like, hey, we're working on this. But there wasn't even, they didn't even mention it. Oh, side note about the presentation. Narrated by Matthew Mercer of Critical Role fame.
Okay.
Yeah.
But like, to me, and I'm sure you could be in agreement, like our first exposure to Square as a company was Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
And Final Fantasy is one of our main games, our main franchises. Final Fantasy VII Remake, I will hands down say is my favorite game. I have played through that game 4 times. I am playing a 5th time just to see upgraded graphics. I played the Yuffie DLC as soon as I could. I played through the whole thing. I'm playing it again. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
And
My top 10 favorite games, probably 4 of them are Final Fantasy titles.
right. Like my first Final Fantasy, you never forget your first Final Fantasy, which was 10 for me. 10 and 10 too. And
You are still in my phone as Lady
I'm
Yuna.
still in your phone as Lady Yuna. Like, we go to the concerts. Give us more than a mobile first soldier. Give us more than
Then a Steam and mobile.
Steam and mobile.
I got so excited when they were announcing the Pixel remaster of 1 through 6.
Yeah.
Because
Pixel
it's not even like
remaster.
they're changing anything. They're just giving it a minor facelift, but it's only going to be on Steam and mobile. And from what I hear, they're selling each of them separately, probably for $15.
I'm going to say 20. The Yuffie DLC was 20. I'm going to say each one is going to be a 20 pop.
You could have put this on console as a package for $60
Right.
easily.
I
And-
would have bought it.
Oh,
'Cause
I would have bought in the
Played
crap
the
out of it.
first 6. So I would have been like, 6 is your favorite.
6
I
is
would've
my
been like,
favorite.
okay.
4 is the
There we
one
go.
that 4 is the one that I look back and it was the game that turned me into a gamer when I was like 8. It was like, this is what games can do. Like at that time, the
Exactly.
story and the music that it had, but you're doing it only on Steam. Like, and mind you, I shouldn't knock Steam at all. I am not a PC gamer. I've never really PC gamed at all, so I've never used Steam. I've heard good things, but
I
it's
have
not me.
Steam is great, but again, for me, my PC that I have, I'm not sitting and playing my Final Fantasy. I'm not sitting at the computer for 10 hours or whatever to play Final Fantasy on my PC. I'll sit on my couch with my
Yeah.
big TV, with the good sound,
And the controller in your hand.
controller in my hand, snacks, my Xbox gamer fridge next to me, fully stocked, and be like, yeah, we're playing Final Fantasy today. I'm not going to do that sitting at my computer. I work here. I'm not comfortable sitting here forever. And
And I don't
Steam
know
is
if you
fine.
I don't know if you've ever played a port of a game on mobile. It is not fun to control.
I have, and it's terrible. And Steam is great, and Steam is super fun and accessible. You can get whatever games you want essentially there. They're usually very reasonably priced, but at the same time, if you release something for the PlayStation 4 or 5, I know it's gonna work. Whereas if you put something on Steam, I don't know if my computer can run it. So now where is it going? Or not every game that's on Steam runs on other operating systems. Like
Yeah.
I am a Mac girl. So I have a gaming PC and I have Steam, but it's not going to be my first choice if I want to sit down and play a game. I'm not going to be like, I want to play Final Fantasy VI. I'd rather sit on my couch and play it on the Switch. I've played OG7 on the Switch for 40 plus hours, handheld, not even on the TV.
This would be a collection that would be perfect for the Switch. Switch players have been begging for JRPGs. This would be perfect for them. You get the nostalgia and you get to introduce new people.
I would pay $50 on my Switch for 6 games that I know are Final Fantasy and fit in that nostalgia realm that the Switch and Nintendo does so well, which we'll get to. But I don't think Final Fantasy, let's go to Steam. I don't.
Yeah.
And I don't want to give up my phone to play a game. I tried that with Brave Exodus and I immediately gave up because I was like, I'm getting notifications. I'm getting things I need to do.
Yeah, I have Chrono Trigger on my phone and controlling it is a nightmare.
Right. I'm not going to do that. And it makes me so angry that was the focus of SQUARE-ENIX this year.
Doing so many mobile games.
To this point, like, they asked me to fill out a survey. And it's like, excuse me. Let me take a drink of water. I'm getting so worked up about this. What were your overall thoughts on SQUARE-ENIX? And I said it was a very mobile game heavy, which isn't what I expect or want from Square. I was hoping we would have more true Final Fantasy content with 7R Part 2, 16, and Endwalker, all very anticipated. It is incredibly disappointing when your favorite game developer that you know makes incredible games tries to say, our best stuff coming out this year is a mobile game.
Yeah. Like
that hurts.
And
betrayed.
And a couple of these are games that have been out, like Brave Exvius, 5th anniversary. Did that need to be at E3?
Downloaded it, deleted it the same day. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it. I couldn't dedicate a phone to that game.
You can dedicate sitting when you're on the train playing that game. Or...
I have other games that I will more casually play.
Yeah.
When I need to kill time or I'm sitting in bed waiting to fall asleep, then First Soldier.
Yeah.
Like.
Or Hitman Sniper. Okay, getting away from mobile. No, I am on board with that. I do want to mention Babylon's Fall real quick. They're recruiting for their closed beta right now. Babylon's Fall was supposed to come out in 2018, 2019. I looked back on our coverage of previous E3s, and this was a big title that was on, I believe, 2019's, and it said it was supposed to be out holiday 2019. I think what happened is they changed it to a games to service game. And it's not being a standalone title.
You can't say, like, again, they announced Final Fantasy VII Remake 10 years ago, so it's understood that it's like.
But they never had a release date for 7 Remake when they announced it. But that did bite him in the butt because people were like, "Where's 7 remake? Where's 7 remake?" Why
I
aren't we
wasn't
getting
gonna
7 remake
buy
now?
a PlayStation 4 because I was so sure that 7 Remake was going to come out before PlayStation 5, which I guess it technically did.
Yeah, barely.
But I wasn't going to buy a PlayStation 4 because I was so sure that they were going to release a special edition 7 Remake PlayStation 4, like when they would put out special edition PlayStations.
Yeah.
And I wanted that one. And so I was like, I'm gonna wait till this comes out. And then I wised up, bought a PlayStation off my brother, and played the games I wanted to play. So I just feel like there's a lot of stumbles happening, and I just kind of want to go wherever they're based. I think they're in Washington. I mean, I know like Japan, but
yeah,
like,
I was like, yeah, I think that California and Washington, I believe they are their two big.
Like, guys,
what's going
guys,
on?
Can we get in a conference room? Like, we need a discussion. Here's what you're doing right. Here's where you're going wrong. You shouldn't. Don't. There's enough cheap companies out there developing mobile games that are getting millions of downloads and then showing ads every 30 seconds because I download them.
Yeah.
And then
you're better than this. You're better than this.
You are an actual game developer.
And you're one of the few still standing from the Nintendo days.
Act like it.
Yeah. It's part of the reason, though, that I am glad 14 wasn't in this, because it seems like they leave 14 alone to be its own thing. Like, outside of bringing Yoshi P over for Final Fantasy 16, because I believe he's directing Final Fantasy 16.
Mm-hmm.
But he has said 14 is his life's work and he's staying there, which all of his fans are thankful for. But like, I think I was messaging Kyle during FanFest, like when they were bringing out the SQUARE-ENIX CEO. I was like, he better not touch anything. He better leave them alone. But he's on board with them doing their thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's amazing because Final Fantasy 14 has been doing great work the last probably 4 years at least. Since it came back with ARR, it's been doing great stuff. And is honestly what's probably paying for a lot of their other titles. Speaking of the last thing with Final Fantasy we're going to mention, though, we got to kill Chaos. Mandy, we have to kill Chaos.
We have to kill Chaos.
Are you Chaos?
Like we're a bouncer at a club while doing it.
Yeah, we have to kill. We need to get Chaos. Where are you, Chaos? No, you're not. Where's Chaos? Final Fantasy Origin Stranger of Paradise. A lot of people, like, this seems like it's going to be it's an action RPG. It's a retelling of the original Final Fantasy game.
See, and that part is something that I am interested in.
Yeah.
Because I was a year old.
Yeah, it came in the early to mid 80s. Like,
yeah, and so to have something like that, to know, like, this is the origins of what saved this company.
Yeah.
Is always something that I'm kind of like, I feel like I should play this game, if only as a service to myself as a fan.
Yeah, where this game came from.
But I'm not sure that this is it.
Yeah, the big rumor was it was going to be a very Dark Souls-esque game, and it looks like that a little bit. But it looks like they're using more of the engine that they used with 7 Remake. Minus the turn-based aspect if you chose that option. So it looks good. The story should be interesting because it's the original Final Fantasy, but they kind of killed the big surprise of Garland being Chaos, which in the first game was a surprise.
Then again, it's a 30-plus-year-old spoiler.
Yeah, true.
It's again when people are like, "Don't spoil 7 for me," and it's like it's a 24-year-old game.
We are now 4 generations removed from it.
Maybe you should look at the wiki.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot that's gonna happen.
I could understand spoiling some of 7 Remake's changes.
Yeah.
But 7 in general? No, sorry. Everyone, Aerith dies.
Aerith dies.
Yeah.
And I will give a TED talk as to why I say that's a positive thing.
Oh.
But
Mandy's not Team Aerith.
I like her.
Yeah.
But I don't understand the fascination with her. And
I think the fascination comes from the fact that she was one of it was so unexpected that she was gonna die.
yeah.
Because she was your healer.
And that
Like that that terrifies you.
when I'm playing the OG now, like I knew this was gonna happen. I was playing the entire first part and I was like, is this when it happens? Is this when it happens? Is this when it happens? And then when it happened, I still gasped. I was like, oh, she's dead. It actually happened. Like, I knew it was happening.
Yeah, and the fact that it's even referenced in Wreck-It Ralph. Yeah, Aerith lives.
She doesn't. She's dead.
No, she's dead. She dead.
She's a manic pixie dream girl and she's dead.
She sold us flowers then. For a gill.
For a gill.
But Origin, the demo is out now. I heard at launch it was bugged out and no one could play it, but I believe that's been fixed and the demo is available now. So I might try that this weekend.
That might be something, yeah, if I'm bored and I'm sick of playing 7 Remake for the 17th time. Maybe I'll be like, okay.
If I decide to stop playing 14
every day, because I get the notifications that you've signed on.
I play every day.
Every
I play
day.
a little bit every day. Even when I was doing Mass Effect, I still would play a little bit every day.
And I'm like, I would love. I get
addicted.
on and I'm like, I'm gonna play 14. I'm paying for this every month.
Yeah.
I get on and play it, and then the icon for 7 stares at me,
Yeah.
and I'm like, you could play this again.
Because you're still you're just starting Heaven's Ward now.
I'm just
You're still in the free trial area.
The free
and you're paying
trial.
for it.
I am level 53 technically, and I'm paying for it.
Yeah. Like it'd be one thing if you were still in free trial mode. Nope.
I've been paying for it since 2012, I think.
Oh, have you been paying for it the whole time?
On and off.
Okay, I was gonna say, I stopped, because we started back in 2013 when ARR came out on the PS3. Because I looked at my trophy list and the first one is from 2013.
Yeah, I was playing when it was all of us, and then when it died down and nobody was playing, I stopped paying for it. And then when
I
started,
initially completed ARR, I had stopped.
And then when we started playing again, and everybody was like, "Well, we're gonna move to this server now."
Yeah.
Then I started paying for it.
Yeah, as did I. I am slowly but surely becoming one with the earth. Okay, we fixed my lighting issue. But from any thoughts on Square Enix?
The new Nier game looks cool, but Nier to me is kind of like how Final Fantasy can be for a lot of other people. It looks really cool and looks like something that I would be interested in. I just have no idea where to dive in, and so it can become intimidating. And that's just partially me needing to do some research and look at the games and be like, well, which one actually interests me? So a new Nier game, I'm always like, cool, another game for me to decide if I want to try this. Yeah.
And honestly, when anyone says anything along those lines of, I'm not sure which one to start with, unless I have a personal preference, and even if I do, I'd just be like, pick one and go.
Yeah.
Like, because I don't know if cause especially with Final Fantasy, they're all different games. There's very little connecting them.
Right.
It's not like if you play 6, you won't know what happened because of what happened in 4.
And some people don't even agree that some things happen.
Yeah. They all have chocobos. That's all that matters.
Airships, chocobos, and Sid.
Yeah, that's all you need. Oh, I'm gonna put a picture of Sid and his beautiful feathered hair.
Which Sid?
14, with his beautiful feathered hair.
That is a nice Sid.
All right, moving on from Square. Capcom. The showcase that could have been a text.
This meeting could have been an email.
Yeah. Okay. Like, I understand 2020 and 2021 have been hard. But knowing that, like, you didn't have a lot here, Capcom. I love Capcom. They're another Square Enix type. They've been around forever, and they've always put out decent to great games.
Yeah.
And, like, they had a big release this year with Resident Evil Village.
Yeah.
Like, that was huge this year, especially because they hit a lull after 4. 5 and 6 were not well received.
I can't even tell you, like, so Resident Evil for me is kind of this weird, I know the storylines and I'm interested in it. I can never play them. I could never play them. I am too terrified. We talk about my anxiety with, like, Life is Strange and Detroit Become Human. That's like existential dread. This is like horror. And as soon as you put a gun in my third person over the shoulder or whatever hands, I might as well be shooting sky and getting caught in bear traps. I can't do it. I can't. That being said, I've watched gameplay and, like, 4 is incredible, and I watch that and make fun of Ashley and, like, yeah, you get that Tommy gun, that's a million Pintos, whatever. Like, that's the way to play that game. I'll play the game with the rocket launcher. But, like, 5 and 6, I'm like, I don't know what happens ever.
Yeah.
And then you have 7, and I was like, oh yeah, that's weird. And with 8, I watched a playthrough, and I was like,
yeah, 7.
Wow.
7 because 5 and 6 became action horror. 7 became survival horror again.
And that is what they do best.
Yeah, that's what Resident Evil is at its core.
Weird, gross, scary.
Inventory management.
Apparently you can get chopped into a million pieces and you just sploosh a little sploosh and it's okay.
Yeah. Put some tussin on it.
Yeah. Like
that's and then you got Lady D.
Lady Dimitrescu
whipping her desk across the room.
How many people, when cons are back and we can have our loveliness again, there are going to be
there's going to be so many Lady Ds, and I am living for it.
Like, and to me, like, she was only a quarter of the game, which is brilliant that they could hype that much about this game based on essentially a character.
An 8-foot tall vampire lady.
An 8-foot tall vampire lady. And then you still had 3/4 of the game to go through that people weren't expecting, that genuinely creep people out in different ways because, spoiler alert, dolls and mannequins are creepy,
which are inherently creepy.
Right. And then the actual, like, antagonist of it, Mother Miranda, I found to be incredibly interesting. I liked Mother Miranda better than Lady Dimitrescu personally, but that comes down to personal taste. But then, like, the way the things that happen and the lore that comes into it, it's like, okay, Capcom, you sat down in the conference room, you looked at the forums, and you said, maybe we should listen to people. Like,
and they still had their fun too.
And they still had their fun.
Because Capcom does like silly stuff. Like if you get the character model of Evan Winters in Resident Evil Village, his face is blacked out.
Is it really?
Yeah. You look at photos of him as a child, his face is covered.
I saw that. If you get the model of Lady Dimitrescu, you can't flip her over. They won't let you look up her skirt, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
That's good, because people tried it.
Oh, and if they did, there would be an achievement being like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it'd be like you
don't. Yeah, no. She's going to cut you up. She's going to cut you up.
Alive and slashes the screen.
Yeah. She's going to cut you up and take away your Healy juice.
So the fact that like they're doing more with it, they have DLCs. They're coming out with a multiplayer with it?
The
right?
reverse multiplayer. I've seen footage of it. It's essentially you play as a survivor, like Leon, Claire,
okay,
Chris, and Hunk is one of them, the Umbrella agent. And it's essentially a battle royale. And when you die, you become a monster. And there's like power-ups that you can pick up while you're alive, and the more power-ups you pick up, the stronger the monster you come back as. So like, you pick up 1, you become a licker. You pick up 2, you become Mr. X or Tyrant from Resident Evil 2 and 3. You pick up 4, you become Jack Baker with the like chainsaw scissors to attack the other enemies.
This is I think that's very clever.
Yeah.
The battle royale market is becoming almost oversaturated. Every game's default now is
battle royale.
And some are much more successful than others. And then you have games like there's this game out, Dead by Daylight, where it's a serial killer and kids are trying to get out. And so when they announced it, I first was like, oh, is this going to be like a Dead by Daylight? Somebody plays as Mr. X, somebody plays as a zombie, and then whatever. So going that you turn into something like that.
Yeah, when you get killed, you turn into something, and then you have to be killed again.
Is
and then you respawn, and it's because it's not like 100 people in a room. It's like 8 players.
But still,
it's timed PvP
for a party, for quick games, for people to.
And if it's free DLC, all the better.
Right.
Because it doesn't take away from the main game. It's not like when Mass Effect 3 first came out, where they shoehorned in the multiplayer to make it necessary to get your galactic awareness up. Where it was like, I don't want multiplayer. I want this game because the story is amazing.
Right.
So like, if it's free DLC, all the better. Even if it was like $5 just for fun.
Still, I think a game like that's worth $5.
Yeah. And then like they announced that they're working on additional DLC because they didn't have to do additional DLC for this game.
They didn't.
Like,
that game was pretty chock full as it is.
Yeah, and it's a good standalone. Though Resident Evil 7 had DLC. Like the side DLC, like the Untold Stories or whatever it was called.
And I think they're setting up for a lot of what's going to happen in between. Because, again, don't want to be giving out spoilers for a game that's only about a month and a half old. But, like, the ending of 8 very much feeds into setting up for future story. So if I think it's just smart of them, the more of this world that they can give, I think people are invested in it and invested in wanting to see more, live in this universe, and keep going.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is saying something, because people were kind of getting sick of Raccoon City and running around Spain and going from a village to a weird mansion to at some point you're in a hospital.
Yeah, it was
in a sewage plant.
Yeah, it's weird how Raccoon City is set up. Their infrastructure is very strange.
It's very strange. So I don't know, look forward to watching other people play these games. Because I'm not going to play them.
Maybe we could set up some sort of goal to get Mandy to play a Resident Evil game.
You guys were going to make me play it for my birthday.
Oh, that's right.
You were going to make me play Resident Evil for my birthday. And that didn't happen. And the fact that I played BioShock on my stream and still was like anxiety level to here, and it was the middle of a day, Saturday, and I watched everybody play BioShock, and BioShock's not even a survival horror game.
And it's not even that scary.
It's not.
It's a moody game.
Jump scares?
Yeah.
Done. No.
Mandy's
I can't do it. I can't do it.
We'll have to get you with like a heart monitor on.
You put a meter on my finger. You'll get one from work and you'll put it on my finger and be like, okay.
We need to stop now.
You're putting her into...
You're going tacky. You're going tacky on us.
Her watch is saying that her resting heart rate is 120 beats per minute.
We have to go now?
Mandy, might go to the ER.
Yeah. We won't do that to Mandy. Unless you like us enough. The things we'll do.
Get monetized.
Like
Then we'll do it.
The things we'll do to get people to like us.
We get monetized, I'll do it.
There we go. Moving on in Capcom. More Monster Hunter. I haven't played much of Monster Hunter.
People like it.
Yeah, I have Monster Hunter World on the PS4 because it was part of the PlayStation Plus collection.
Mm-hmm.
I know Kyle and Mike have played a lot of it.
Yeah.
And they liked it. And like, as far as MMOs go, I got 14.
They were really trying to push everybody to get it. And I was like, well, I mean, if I get this, is this going to be like you guys are going to play for 2 months and then abandon us again?
Yeah.
So I didn't get it, and
no one really.
I'm okay with that decision. Like, people like it, and if people like it, great. But
yeah, and these are standalone games.
Yeah. Like
where Monster Hunter World is the MMO, but they have big followings. Not against it.
No.
Wouldn't be necessarily against trying them either.
Nope.
But Monster Hunter Stories 2, Wings of Ruin, comes out July 9th.
Soon.
Yeah.
Very soon. Or depending when this gets posted. Very recently.
Hopefully soon. Yeah. Last year. It came out last year.
So how'd you guys like it? Drop a comment below.
Why are you watching a coverage on 2021? But the Capcom closed out. I will say, because and I hope people are enjoying me and Kyle's playthrough of Dead Rising 2 off the record. Was kind of hoping for a new Dead Rising to come out of Capcom.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, like, again, it's like Back 4 Blood. Sometimes you just want to kill some zombies, and then throw in Capcom's humor with it.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong.
Sometimes you want an 8-foot tall vampire lady. Sometimes you just want to be trapped in a mall.
Yeah. Either way, lots of fun. But Capcom did close with the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, which I believe was released in Japan, never in the West, but It's a 2-game collection coming out for the PS4, Switch, and Steam on July 27th. Mandy, what can you tell us about the great Ace Attorney?
Ace Attorney. So, kind of in a similar vein of Microsoft, the Flight Simulator.
Yeah.
Is that Ace Attorney games are a blast, and they're so weird and so campy, and they're ridiculously fun, and they have such a die-hard fandom. But I don't know, people would be like, Ace Attorney games are probably in like their top 10 favorite games, but people aren't gonna be like, I'm gonna cosplay as Ace Attorney. Well, I guess people do.
I've seen it. I've seen people holding the objection
signs and things like that. So it's one of those game series that like probably isn't going to be necessarily like the game of the year type things, but it's going to do very well. People are going to be very excited for it, and it's coming to the Switch.
It's
perfect. Bam, I will get it.
And it's perfect for the Switch.
Perfect for the Switch. Like, it's like my Switch games are, and this is probably why, again, we'll talk more when we get to Nintendo. I play my Switch almost exclusively handheld. Instead of docked, because I don't have enough real estate to dock stuff. So
First world problems.
It is.
Definition
but that's the truth. And so I play it handheld. I play Animal Crossing every single day. I play the OG Final Fantasy. I Pokemon Snap. I have quite a few Switch games. And like, I've never finished Breath of the Wild, and we'll get to that. And I think part of it was because I don't enjoy playing Switch games on a TV, and that game is too big for a handheld.
Yeah.
And so my Switch games tends to be my fun, popping, casual games. And Ace Attorney is right there in that.
Oh, without a doubt.
Without a doubt. I'm not putting Horizon on a Switch, Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah, like the only time I think I've ever, anytime I've played Switch on a screen or a projector or anything, it's always a multiplayer game.
Right. I'll play Mario Kart.
Yeah, if it's just me, it's handheld.
I don't know why that is, but
I like the option to do either or.
And that's why I love my Switch.
Yeah, but if it's just me, it's handheld mode.
Yeah. So Ace Attorney on my Switch all day. This would be great if I still had a commute every day.
Yeah. Especially if you had to take the train.
If I had to take the train, perfect. Let me solve the case.
Let me get this. I think it was a pirate whale in one of them.
They're so weird. I love it.
Let me get him not guilty. A little side note, Intellivision showed up to E3 in 2021.
Yeah, and their system is... I'm conflicted on it.
I want to hate on it a lot more than I should.
Too, and I think it's filling a niche that the Wii has left.
Yeah.
Because the Wii, and I argued this way back when it was what, Xbox 360, the PlayStation 3, and the Wii.
Yeah.
Was that generation. And I came out straight up and said the Wii's gonna win, and everybody was like, you're an asshole. Sorry, bleep that. But you're an idiot because it doesn't have the graphics power, it doesn't have this, that, and the other thing, but it has the accessibility.
And it was cheap. It was like $100 cheaper.
I bought a Wii, and in 5 months, I bought my mom a Wii.
Oh yeah.
My mom still has her Wii set up. Like, you have the sports, you have cute games, you have party games that people can pick up a controller and inherently know how to play it.
Yeah, it was definitely, it was meant for the family. It was meant
Exactly.
it was meant for your 5-year-old niece and your 85-year-old grandmother to be on the same level playing a game.
And it was back with the price point. My cousins, who are not gamers, had 2 little girls, and I brought my Wii when I was out there, and they could play sports and get up and do things, and it was a serious discussion. Should we actually buy a game console? Because they'd never had one. The girls were never really exposed to it. They never had an interest in it. But the Wii was so cheap and so easy to use. And I think that's where this Intellivision is
Amico.
Is trying to fit that in, because the variety of games are backyard games.
It's got bags.
It's
It's got all those backyard games. It's gonna have the edutainment games. I think Sesame Street has licensed games with it.
And so it's like, okay, I don't want to spend $600 on a PlayStation. What can I get for my 7-year-old and his friends to play? And they can come over, or the cousins can come over, and I can set this up in the basement, and so all the kids can be out of our hair.
Yeah, and the price point on games, that was a bit at first I was kind of making fun of it during the presentation, because all the photos of people enjoying the system, you could tell the controllers were photoshopped in.
Mm-hmm.
The controllers look like a first generation iPod.
I said a Zune.
Yeah, a Zune. But as I was watching it and as I was listening to the presentation, the games, digitally, if you buy the games digitally, they're $10 or less. Even if they're bad games, that's not too much.
Right. And
if they play okay, you're not losing out, especially if it's my kid played all of these games.
My kid played all these games for 2 months.
Yeah.
Okay, $10, and when his friends come over, sometimes they do racing.
Yeah.
Sometimes they do cornhole. Sometimes they do art. Whatever the games are, it's...
Yeah, and they're gonna have the Atari collection, which the Atari collection essentially remastered.
Right. Which
so it's beefed up graphics on old classics that are still fun even today.
Yeah. Fantastic.
So if it gets some traction underneath it, I could see Intellivision's Amico being at E3 2022.
I could see it. I think it's going to come down to how they market it.
Yeah.
And if they market it as that Wii replacement, and
if it holds up, because I've seen systems like this come out before, and it's been cheaply made and just breaks within weeks. And
right.
If they keep up with it and keep putting out content for it, and maybe get some bigger name third parties involved, like a Capcom, like a SQUARE-ENIX, like a Konami, just not necessarily those companies, but companies that other people recognize.
Right.
You could put some mobile games on there.
I was just, when you said that, I was like, could they have put the Final Fantasy Sprite, whatever,
the pixel update
on this? That
would be something that they should try and do. If the system can handle it, go for it. Contact these companies, get their back catalog on there.
Because I spent more to play one game.
Yeah, you're gonna get people buying your system if they're oh, I could play Tetris on this. I could play you're not gonna get the Nintendo back catalog, but maybe you could get some Mega Mans in there. Maybe you could get Street Fighter 2. You can get Contra.
This is something that I could see me getting and bringing to my mom's.
Oh yeah.
And she enjoying it. Because right now, again, like the Wii setup, and she has a Switch, play Animal Crossing, but like I brought my PlayStation 4 and I put it in the back room, and I'm like, you can go back and play, and she won't touch it. It's intimidating. The games aren't things she recognizes. There's no value for her.
Yeah.
As opposed to something like this, okay, we can set it up, and oh yeah, I can go back and play trivia. I can play Jeopardy. I can play fun brain games.
Yeah, get stuff like that on there. This thing it's not going to unseat the big three.
No.
But it's going to be something that, people are going to make some money off of. And isn't that what they're all trying to do?
If they do this right, this could be big. It could fill a hole in the market that is lucrative.
Without a doubt. But moving on from there, we got Nintendo. We got we got their, hey, screw your notes, trying to watch and take notes. Yeah,
here's everything.
Yeah, because Kyle was kind enough to take this, and it was like, he's like, I didn't catch the date. I didn't catch everything. I think there were 3 titles while I was writing one title down. So like I looked through some of it. A big one, Smash Bros. Ultimate getting another character. Kazuya from Tekken. Like,
when is Sephiroth already in?
Yeah, Sephiroth came last year.
I know he was coming because I saw all the trailers about him stabbing Mario.
I remember watching that. I was like, oh wow, they did that, and then it
did
zoomed in, and it was part of his sleeve. But it was just like, but the image was like, oh wow.
They did that. Nintendo's getting hardcore.
Yeah, and the fact that Smash Brothers are like, we're not just doing our characters anymore. We're bringing everyone in.
It's exciting because one of my good friend Ancient, like, that's his game, is Smash Brothers. Like, he's entered tournaments for it, so he's like, this is his thing. And so to have new characters and new things coming, it keeps a game that has been out for 2 or 3 years now fresh, which is
they're constantly adding to it,
which is something that not every developer can or is willing to do. So I give Nintendo kudos for that. And I said, like, I honestly feel like, due to the sheer volume and a couple of other things that we'll talk about, I feel like Nintendo was the big winner of E3 this year.
Yeah.
They came out swinging.
Like, and like COVID had a lot to do with it. Sony no longer participating with E3, EA not showing up this year. It definitely wasn't as big as previous years, but like Nintendo and Xbox Bethesda were the two big ones. Like I said, Capcom could have been an email. Same with Square.
Square.
Ubisoft did well, but I was starting to get annoyed during their presentation because everyone was talking the exact same way about their game. But
and I think that's probably why Nintendo came out swinging so hard, is because their 2 biggest competitors, if you have the big 3, both came out with consoles in the last 6 months. Well, last 8 months.
Yeah.
Now, so, and their console is 4 years old.
Yeah.
Which
so
is
they have running room with games.
They're off cycle and from the other 2, which they've always been a little bit off cycle from the other 2, which has actually worked to their advantage. But at the same time, you have times like these where it's like, that your competitors are going to bring their big guns, and one has a big console, quite literally, and then the other one has big games.
Yeah. And
so you have this really cute, fun, accessible, affordable console that you need to show your library.
Yeah, you got stuff to swing with. Because right now, especially, like, Xbox Series X and PS5 just came out, and all the games that have been, like, 90% of the games that were shown at E3 this year was Xbox One, Xbox Series X, PS4, PS5. It's games that aren't just for these new systems yet.
Yeah,
Like,
it's shocking when I see a game and it has the PS5 ribbon at the
like,
top.
Next year will be a different story.
Right.
Because it'll be, like, they'll be making a lot less for the previous console. It'll be PS5 exclusive, or Xbox Series X exclusive.
Right.
It won't be Xbox One, Xbox Series X.
And so for Nintendo to come in with their sheer volume, and then their, because Nintendo did have a very big year because of 2020 and because of a little ditty game that people don't really want to give its credit where credit's due, but I will. Animal Crossing.
Oh, Animal Crossing was the game of 2022.
Animal Crossing was the game of 2020, and I will fight anybody who says it's not, because Animal Crossing literally saved people's lives last year.
Oh, it allowed people to get together. Animal Crossing and Among Us. Were the big games of 2020.
Health game that people didn't know was going to become a mental health game. People were hyped because Animal Crossing, in and of itself as a game series, is polarizing, but people who like it are diehard. My mom gets
Your mother is a diehard.
My mom is a
Crossing
diehard
fan.
Animal Crossing fan. She stole my brother's GameCube from him. Would not let him take it when he moved out because her Animal Crossing village was on it. When I got her a Wii, I went and got her Animal Crossing, and she gave up Farmville. She literally never touched it. When it came out on the iPad, I downloaded it, and she looked at me and said, "What did you do? I don't want this. I don't want to get sucked in." And then she learned how to put it on her phone. So she's got 2 campsites that she maintains every day. And then New Horizon came out, and I bought her a Switch, and I bought it for her day one, and she looked at me and she's like, "You didn't, no, I missed it. It is a daily player. I'm a daily player. We visit each other's villages." Like,
your mom with Animal Crossing is me with Final Fantasy 14.
My mom is insane with Animal Crossing. And so, it's just like, when the pandemic hit and everybody had this ability to, 1, control things, and then 2, live in a happy island, where the worst thing that could happen is you get stung by wasps, or you get
stuck with a bad villager.
Yeah, I don't like this villager.
I don't want
I'm gonna
Apple.
hit him with a net every day until he asks to move out, and then he still won't move out. I'm looking at you, Hammy. Like, it became just this calm solace place, and Nintendo, I don't think Nintendo anticipated it to. I think it sold like 30 million in the first month.
I think they expected it to be big because the Animal Crossing series is, like, every iteration of Nintendo will have an Animal Crossing. It'll have a Mario, it'll have a Zelda, it'll have an
Animal Crossing. I think they knew it was going to be big, but I don't think they knew it was going to be as big. People who again aren't gamers, never played these games, were buying Switches to play. I bought Jamie a Switch, the Animal Crossing Switch, to play Animal Crossing, so she can have 1 villager.
Yeah.
Goldie. The golden lab dog. That's it. Everybody
she
else
got Goldie, right?
She got Goldie.
Okay.
No, I gave her a coin to get Gold Amiibo.
Okay, I was like, she's not still hunting for Goldie, is she?
No. We got Goldie as soon as she could. We got Goldie. Sorry, she's taking off. So like it sold like 30 million the first 2 months.
And it allowed people to connect to each other.
And it allowed people
and
to
show
connect.
off their islands.
And show off their island.
People had birthday parties in Animal Crossing.
It's amazing. I was so disappointed because it came out on my birthday. And so it was...
so your villagers can throw you a party?
So it was all set up stuff. So I didn't get anything. And so when this year, when it was my birthday and I actually got to experience the birthday stuff, I was like crying. I was like, I love my villagers so much. Who wants a cupcake? I have a party dress on. It's my birthday. Like that's what Animal Crossing does. And that's that nostalgia and comfort factor is what Nintendo does, I think, the best out of all of them. And yes, you have your Mario games, and yes, you will always have you have people criticize sometimes that Nintendo rehashes the same thing. You have your Super Mario Odyssey, Super Mario Galaxy, Super Mario Sunstar, like whatever. You have a Super Mario game. You have Animal Crossing, which is the same game over and over and over again.
Oh, it is definitely the same game over and over again.
But they do it so well that people don't mind. I love my Mario Kart. It is the same Mario Kart.
Though Animal Crossing turns into a thing after a while, where if you haven't logged in, you're afraid to log in.
So we set up my mom's Switch, and it has Animal Crossing City Folk on it, and we went. We haven't played that game in 7 years.
It's like, I'm afraid to log in to New Leaf just to see my villagers having torn each other apart, and weeds everywhere, cockroaches in your house. They're like, where have you been? I don't even know what to do. I'm like, I don't know how to fish in this. I don't know. Shake tree? What are you doing? Where can I get in a plane and go to another island? Yeah.
No,
I'm
you can't.
terrified.
But Nintendo just does it well. You know what to expect, and so I think there's, again, we kind of throw back to one of the things that we like about the Game Pass is that if you don't like a game, it's not like you put out $60. But with Nintendo games, you're willing to put out the $60 because you know what you're going to get.
Yeah,
you're going to be entertained.
There's not really a bad Mario game.
I know.
There's great Mario games.
There's fantastic Mario games and there's mediocre ones.
Yeah, but it's still not a bad game.
It's still not a bad game. You still had fun playing it for 30 or so hours. So, okay, that's fine. Smash Brothers is the same game since Nintendo 64. And you know what?
Still fun.
It's still fun. Mario Kart, same game since Super Nintendo. Still fun.
Yeah. Zelda is the only thing that's really evolved. Zelda and Metroid.
That's what is so exciting that they announced Breath of the Wild 2. Because
they announced Breath of the Wild 2 last year, I believe.
They showed some stuff. So
or they just said that they're making a second one.
And
but they
Breath of the Wild, because that was the launch title for the Switch, was like, it's cliche, but it was a game changer.
Yeah, and that's what Zelda has done.
And that is what Zelda is what pushes their generations.
Yeah, because the original Zelda was different than the Marios, the Excitebike, stuff like that. And then you had Link to the Past, which was similar, but it involved more of a story and more characters, and just everything got bigger. And then you got the N64 with Ocarina of Time, completely turning everything on its head.
And considered still to this day one of the best games ever made.
And then
Ocarina of Time is.
And then you go to the Switch with Breath of the Wild, where
Breath of
they
the
changed it
Wild
again.
Was like the amount of detail for a game like that. The fact that the light, if you're wearing metal, the lightning is attracted to you. Like the first time I realized what was going on, I was like, what didn't they think of? In an essentially open world game, you can wake up and march to the castle if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
You'll die.
But you can do it.
You can go and fight any of the divine beasts in any order that you want. You could, like me, run around and being like, I want to get all of my temples and all this other stuff before I even start really getting into the game. Because I like playing games when I'm super overpowered.
Yeah.
So
who doesn't? There's a reason most games have a God mode.
I may or may not be doing my next run of Final Fantasy VII Remake at level 50 maxed out.
Yeah.
Because it's way more fun for me that way.
Take that, Shinra soldier.
Yeah. It's like, oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
Oh man, I have to do, I have intelligence reports that I need to actually stagger people for. Nail that. Take all my materia off and let's just be weak.
Let's just hope I don't crit.
Yeah, which I do. So with Nintendo coming at this E3 in that way, knowing that they don't have the most powerful console. They don't have Microsoft's level of development, essentially.
Yeah. They're not buying, and these are first party titles. But they didn't buy Bethesda to make Breath of the Wild.
Right.
Like the only game that has the Mario name that is made by a different company is Mario plus Rabbids.
Rabbids, right.
Yeah.
So,
but Nintendo is overseeing a lot of that. They're like, we looked into you, we trust you,
right,
but we have final say.
So Nintendo had to come out with sheer volume
and their big hitters.
And say, look, we have this entire collection, so we have games for your 5-year-old, we have games for your 65-year-old, and it's all playable on one system that, if you're like my brother, you will have 4 of in your house, because everybody wants one. Everybody wants to play their own games, and they're affordable enough to be able to do that.
Yeah. Our friend Carrie Ann, I brought the Switch over to her house. We put it on the projector while we had a bonfire. She was considering it at the time. Getting a Switch.
I went to a work event this past weekend and brought my Switch, and one of my colleagues was like, I can't decide if I want this or something else. And I was like, yeah, sure. Here's Mario Kart, because I know that's what you want to play, because I'm not going to throw you into Breath of the Wild, or I'm not going to throw you into Super Mario Odyssey when you're just trying it out, but you can do a couple races and you know what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Old A.
Old
go
A
forward.
Turn.
Right. And he was like, yeah, I want a Switch now. I think I'm going to go get a Switch.
Yeah.
It's easy enough to pick up.
And then they got the nostalgia with the Nintendo collections for regular Nintendo and Super Nintendo.
Yeah. I mean, new games every month. I look at that. I see games that I played with my brother when I was growing up, and now I'm fully convinced that my controller wasn't plugged in. Because I like Kung Fu Heroes. I was like, we were great at this game. No,
it's a one-player game.
So hard. Mike was good at this game, and I was pressing A and not doing anything. I know now. Like,
we'll have to have a little talk with Mike.
We will have to have a talk, but like these are games that I grew up with that I hadn't played in forever, that are legend. You have Dr. Mario, you have Contra, you have games that many of us
grew up with.
This is what we became a gamer. Yoshi's Story, Yoshi's Island. Yoshi's Story was N64. Yoshi's Island, like, that was one of my very first games I played, Super Nintendo, and I was like, this is cute, this is Baby Mario and Yoshi, let's go, okay. I can play that, and I play it now. Now, when they put Yoshi's Story on, which was the very first game that I ever beat by myself, I will have that. Yep. I will have that. I will beat it. I will get all of the special Yoshis. I will get everything. Because I did when I was 10.
And I will do it.
And I will do it again. So,
yeah, and like, you got Mario Party Superstars, big release where they're putting the best of the entire series of Mario Party on.
And like
over 100 mini games.
The mini games is what makes Mario Party. Nobody cares about the board game.
Yeah.
The mini games is what makes Mario Party. So I think this is pretty brilliant, because you can get 4 people in a room, give them all a Switch controller, and
you don't even have to get them in the room, because they're doing online, and they have online matchmaking. You can play these games with complete strangers.
And then you can get your little wrist strap you needed to have that had the divot,
yeah.
so you didn't burn a hole in the palm of your hand,
yeah.
to kind of make sure that you stayed on the course better than everybody else. Because that was a great part of the game. And the tip was to go into the meat. Not the palm.
Not the palm. Safety tips with Mandy. Meat of the thumb. Not the
that
palm.
game. Play that game so much.
But they're also putting 6 boards from the original N64 on there. Like, the fact that they're going back to the original Mario Party and being like, hey, we're putting this in the new one too.
And I don't think I've bought a Mario Party since the original. And we didn't even buy the original. We rented it all the time. And I would probably buy that game. Because again, it's a game that I can bring to people's houses. It's a game that I can go online and I can play with Jamie. It's a game that, doesn't need backstory. It doesn't need... there's not a learning curve.
It doesn't have to be a big epic story.
We love our epic stories. I love my epic stories. But when one of my old coworkers asked me, what is Final Fantasy about? And I had a 404 error in my head of, how do I explain?
How do I elevator pitch this game?
I can't. Well, they're all different, but they have some stuff that's the same. Here's the wiki.
Yeah.
And this is the tip of the iceberg. I love that.
Yeah.
But if somebody says, what is Mario Kart about? What is Mario Party about? It's a board game
with Mario characters.
Friends with Mario characters, and you beat the tar out of each other for stars.
And you will probably end up mad at the end because BS stars get given to players.
And yeah, you will start fights, and it's a blast.
Yeah.
And that's what Nintendo does well.
Yeah. And that'll be out at the end of October this year.
Perfect. That's another one for Christmas.
There you go. Yeah, and then they closed it. We already talked about it. Zelda Breath of the Wild Part 2 coming out in 2022.
Mm-hmm. That's going to be a big one.
And obviously there's other things that they announced. You can check our Facebook page for the coverage, or there might be a ticker at the bottom of the screen with titles and dates. There's so much to go through
with it, so we can't even. talked about what are we going to talk about, and it was like, well, we can't hit everything Nintendo. We can't hit everything for everything, which we didn't, but Nintendo was, it could have been its own 4-hour podcast.
Yeah, I think the only company we did everything for was Capcom, and even that was quite a while.
Yeah. And
that was 4 games. But overall, E3, a bit lackluster to me.
I think
it definitely misses Sony and misses EA.
Didn't Sony announce on its own Horizon Forbidden West was announced, but
at a State of Play
before the State of Play, okay, and that was hyped because I'm playing Horizon Zero Dawn, and I'm like, this is absolutely incredible. I'm so mad at myself that I slept on this for so long. Again, it's that story-based action RPG essentially.
Yeah.
I am like, inject to my veins, please, thank you. I will do all of this all day. So more of a protagonist that I love, that is interesting.
Aloy has been one of the best original protagonists.
She's absolutely incredible, and the game is like nothing else. The story behind it and where you're going in it, I'm like, this is.
And honestly, it's got a simple elevator pitch: robot dinosaurs. And
that's what's funny is that I didn't when I started playing it, I didn't know about robots.
Oh, that was its like big selling point when it came out, was, you know, we got robot dinosaurs.
I didn't I thought it was very much like a prehistoric game, so I was like, okay, yeah, dinosaurs, and you'll probably be taking down like animals and stuff like that. And then like you go over the horizon and yeah, they're animals, they're machines. And I was like, well, this just got way more interesting. What is going on? And so I want more. I'm excited for more. State of Play was pretty cool, but that could be a whole other thing. I feel like E3 2021 has had some highs, but not as high as they could have been, and it had a lot of lows that we weren't anticipating from developers. We weren't anticipating lows for.
Yeah.
I can only wonder if it's because, you know, two companies had consoles come out in the last year, so they are trying to rebuild their collections, trying to figure out what their capabilities are going to be. We're going to see a lot more as they find their footing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, I can't help but wonder if it's the thought that they're kind of hedging their bets with 2021 being very different, since the state of the world is very different now.
Yeah, like, and that hurt it too, because development on all games got hurt. Like,
right.
Like, we talk a lot about 14, but 14's development got hurt major. Like, their usual expansion launch is in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
It's not until the end of November this year.
Right.
And they also cut a lot of stuff that they usually put out
and
last year. And it's the same with across the board with all companies, because you go from working in an office on a game where, oh, I have a problem with this bug, I can go down to Daryl's desk and we can figure it out. Now it's, I got a problem with this bug, I gotta get into a Zoom call with Daryl and hope we can figure it out through that.
Even beyond that, I mean, with that,
and before they didn't get to take their work home with them.
Yeah, exactly. Are they trying to remote into some server farm? Like, there's just a lot of technical back end stuff that hurts development.
And people don't realize hurts development.
But then at the same time, like, you know, 2020 became the year that everybody stayed inside because they had to. So people were much more willing to order a PlayStation or an Xbox or Switch off of insert your favorite retailer here, and can go from, you know, playing, maybe only being able to play for 2 hours on the weekend to, well, it's 5 o'clock, I punch out, and so let me do my commute from my desk to my couch.
Yeah.
I.e. me, like, or if you have, I don't work at this job anymore, so we can say it, like, when 7 Remake came out, I logged into my computer and said, I'm working, and played it all day. Because I could. And so, you know, people are going back to their office. People are going back to seeing others, which is fantastic. Like, state of the world. That is what we want. Like, yay, science. That is.
Yeah,
excited.
I work in healthcare. I was at work every day. Like,
exactly. Like,
I'm excited for people to get back to work, get out.
We want that, but I can't help but wonder if the game developers for E3 were kind of hedging that bet and saying, maybe we can hold on to this for another year and polish this.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. I am okay with holding back release dates to work on a game. I am anti-crunch. I think crunch is bad for the game industry.
It's bad.
Take your time, build a good game.
And to that point, that could be something that affected it too, because we saw a very hyped game get destroyed because of the crunch. And not only that, it got pushed back so many times already. Pushed so many times already, and then when it came out, it was a steaming turd that they are now just trying to shine up. And so that could really have scared a lot of developers and saying, you know, maybe we need to set our expectations a bit lower in a way. Maybe we need to hold on to stuff. This is like, we could put this out in the fall of this year, but it would be better if we held it and put it out summer of next year. And once we know that more people have PlayStation 5s in their hands, more people have Xboxes in their hands. So you're not trying to run a game that really should be ran on a 3080 graphics card and a PC on a PlayStation 4.
Yeah. And and holidays aren't as big for the game industry as they once were.
They're
like, back when we were younger, you know, Christmas was when you would get a system or you would get a game.
Yeah.
But now it's those kids have grown up and now have that expendable income, and they're gonna buy it whenever they want.
Yeah, like, I didn't pre-order a PlayStation 5, and then I decided 2 days after it came out, I really want it.
Yeah.
And I have the income, and I have the ability to sit at a computer all day.
Yeah, and you got
so
super
I hunted
lucky.
One down.
Yeah.
For retail.
And I got super lucky that my sister won one in a raffle.
Right, like,
and that's how I got mine.
So, you know, we didn't have to. They can release a game like Final Fantasy VII Remake. I know we keep coming back to it, but they released it in April.
Yeah.
They released it April last year. They released now this expansion June, and it's fantastic, and it's great, and they don't have to wait until Black Friday.
Yeah, a high sell point. Like, and you can initially plan on being like holiday, because that like, people still like, oh, I don't know what to get little Jimmy for Christmas. Oh, this new game that everyone's talking about came out.
Oh man, when I was in electronics, like, you couldn't keep Minecraft in the case.
Yeah.
Everybody, whether or not they had the system for it, was getting Minecraft. The buy two get one free video games was my nightmare.
Yeah.
Because that's when people would do it for Christmas and hype it up and be like, okay, so now we have 3 video games, we got 3 kids off our list.
Yeah.
And you know, that it's fantastic that that's what it used to be, but now
you can push back to from holiday to spring to
You're
summer.
also not doing physical releases. I was in Target yesterday and I was walking by electronics and saw the 7 remake disc for PlayStation 5 in the case, and I stopped and I was like, oh yeah, because I downloaded it.
They do physical, and like we talked about before, 14 Endwalker is not coming out physical.
Doesn't need to be,
because they looked at their numbers and they're like 80% of people got Shadowbringers digitally.
I think I did because I just bought it because it was 50% off.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not even there yet. I still got like 2 more games to get through.
Yeah, you still have Evansward and Stormblood to get through.
But I got
50% off.
50% off. Okay, so this game is normally I think I got it for 20.
Yeah.
Great. Fantastic. 7 came out. I bought it day of.
Yeah.
Tony Hawk Pro Skater came out. I got it the week after because I was like, nostalgia.
And it's a lot of fun. And that's something other people are looking forward to too, is them remastering 3, 4, Underground.
Right.
Not 5, because we don't talk about 5.
But I think this year's E3 is...
It's a transition period.
Exactly. It is a marked transition period between the way that games used to be and kind of maybe what other generations or older generations consider with gaming, and what the future is going to look like, with non-physical games, like you said, maybe even non-physical consoles. Coming up, developers holding on to releases to make sure that they are actually polished to avoid bad press, to avoid disappointment. Players at the same time not pre-ordering games because they don't want to get burned when they spend $70 on a game. And I think this E3 was a reflection of it. There are games coming out that we're hyped for. There are DLCs coming out that we're hyped for, but there wasn't anything that I was like, here.
Yeah, take my money.
Take shut up and take my money. There's plenty of stuff coming out that I will invest in. Mostly Nintendo. It's looking like. But it's I want to know what's going on in 2022.
Yeah, I definitely, especially with PS5 and Series X getting their feet underneath them.
Yeah.
And people being back and then being able to go all out with these presentations, getting Keanu Reeves to come out and tell me I'm breathtaking. We all need that sometimes.
Right. So we will be back next year for this, definitely.
Yeah. And we hope you enjoyed this video and this catch up on E3. Let us know what you're hyped for.
Yes, let us know what you're hyped for. Let us know what you are going to be throwing your dollar American monies or other countries' monies, your currencies, at with the developers. Let us know if there's anything coming up that you would want us to look at, play, test out, give our thoughts and opinions on, because we will always give our thoughts and opinions.
Yeah, whether you like it or not, and
whether
let us know if you
want it or not.
Yeah, let us know if you liked this format.
Yeah,
this is the
let
first
us
time.
know.
We're oh no, technical difficulties.
Let us know if you like this format, if you like our chats and our conversations, if you'd like more analysis of games and the general gaming industry. I know Dan and I would be more than happy to do things like this with friends of the show as well. If these are things that are interesting to you. If you like seeing our faces, then you can catch us not only here at our YouTube. You can see us on our Facebook, and you can catch us on Twitch at Third Channel Gaming and at Third Channel Mandy.
And Third Channel Mike is out there too.
Third Channel Mike as well, where we are streaming. Yeah, we would be happy to do more of these things, more roundtables, and maybe even set this up and do it in person. So
yeah, definitely.
Let us know, like, comment, subscribe,
all that good stuff.
All that good stuff. And so once again, I am Mandy at Third Channel Mandy.
I'm Dan at Third Dan, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.